Alright, Nippers, as you see, I am in maintenance right now. I mean the game's in maintenance. And we're gonna go over the kits for Anise, Neon, and Avistar to see how good do I think they're going to be. Let's get started. Alright, so rather annoyingly, the Twitter links are not really working correctly. I mean, they're there, but I can't really click on anything to get the zoomed in image. So here we are. We started with Anise Star. She is a Defender, Burst 1, Rocket Launcher, Electric Code. And she has the normal Rocket Launcher things over here. So pretty long skilled one here. So let's go over it really quickly. Activates at the start of battle only if self is alive. Well, I mean, at the start of the battle, everybody's alive. So, okay. Affects all allies. Burst gauge filling speed up 6% continuously. Activates at the start of battle and when full burst ends. Effect differs according to squad formation. Only the corresponding effect is applied. If there are no other Burst 1 allies, Effect 1, Effect Self, cancels every 1 star, which is an effect we'll get to a little bit down. And effect 2, effect self, my own star. Attack up by 40.01%. This effect is continuous and cannot be removed. Effect 3, affects all allies. Cooldown of burst skill down 7.48 seconds, which is, pretty good. But if there are other burst 1 allies, effect self, cancels my own star, so that is the thing that's giving her the attack boost and the CDR. Every 1 star re-enters burst and changes to stage 1. This effect is continuous and cannot be removed. Activates when hitting target with full charge. Affects the target. Deals 120% of final attack as additional damage. Okay. So a lot of things going right there, and so first up we have Anise Star. She's a Defender, Burst 1, Rocket Launcher, Electric Code, as Neon will also be Electric Code, Rocket Launcher as well. So pretty long skill set right here. We'll start with the skill 1 first. So activates at the start of battle only if self is alive. Well, everybody's alive at the start of the battle, so we don't have to worry about that. Affects all allies. Burst gauge filling speed up 6% continuously. Okay, that's pretty good. Activates at start of battle when full burst ends. Effects differ according to squad formation. So, I read this before. Basically, if she is the only burst 1 in the team, she will give an effect which gives herself a 40% attack boost. Also, she will give the whole team a cooldown of burst skill down by about 7.5 seconds, which is also really good. However, if there are burst 1 allies besides her, she becomes a re-enter burst stage, which means that when somebody else uses a burst, she will also get her burst 1 reset. And this effect is continuous, obviously cannot be removed. Also, activates within the target with a full charge, affects the target, deals 120% of final attack, adds additional damage, and I believe that is just like a blanket effect that she just has on her Burst 1 skill. So that's basically how it is, where you can use her as either a Burst 1 by yourself, or let's say there are maybe a team you want to use her in where maybe you have another burst 1 you want to use, you can do that also if you wish. So skill 2, Stardust, activates when entering full burst. Well, my own star status is activated. Remember, this is the one when she's the only burst 1 on the team. Affects all allies. Attack up by 35% of the caster's attack by 10 seconds. And remember, with this, she is also giving herself an attack boost. So that attack boost, in addition to this one, will give the allies, a pretty substantial attack boost for a buff. Activates when performing a full charge attack while everyone's star status is active. So this is the one where she's not the only burst 1 of the team. Restores 1 quarter of the Kansas final max HP as HP. Remember, she is a defender, so her HP will be a little bit higher. Activates when at full burst, affects all allies. Affects self and all allies with a lower defense than self. Remember, she is a defender, so her defense and HP will be higher than a lot of the attackers on the team. Projectile explosion damage up by 92% for 10 seconds. Activates at a full burst, affects all allies, attack damage up by 34% for 10 seconds. Remember, attack damage isn't as good as straight attack, but it's still like an additional on top of everything else, which is pretty insane. Like, these buffs all in one character is really, really good. Is it going to be better than like damage taken from like something like Little Mermaid? I don't know, right? We'll have to see. So, but this is pretty strong. Now for the projectile explosion damage, these are things for like other rocket launchers. So obviously Neon comes to mind. I don't know, like Ada, I think has this. Ada have this too? Vesti, stuff like that, right? Anything that like explodes, I suppose. So yeah. Finally, we have the burst skill is a 20-second cooldown. So affects self, shooting stars, function. Generate stars around these attack random targets automatically. Damage 40% of final attack. Attack interval. Quarter of a second for 10 seconds. So just a bunch of basically free attacks, and these are attacks in addition to you just like shooting normally with the rocket launcher. So there's more damage. At this time, charge speed is fixed at 0.7 for the duration of the burst, basically. So a little bit less than the normal 1 second charge time. Larger explosion radius, okay, and also a defense up by 55% for 10 seconds, which is, okay, cool. Might not be the most relevant thing in the world, but it is there. This should also kind of give us maybe an idea of like what the boss is going to be like, I would say, with this explosion radius thing going on, because obviously they want to make the Solar Raid boss something that the new characters are going to be good in. So anyway, she also has a couple effects here that are only active depending on her burst, if she's the only one or if she is not the only burst one. So when she is the only burst one, she will gain an attack damage boost by 35% for the duration, basically the duration of the burst. And when she is not the only burst one, then she will give allies max HP of 15% of the Kaz's max HP for 10 seconds. So just free HP on top of that. So, really flexible, I would say. Probably not as flexible as maybe like Rappy Red Hood, as she could be a burst 1 and a burst 3. Also, as far as I know, I think it's like this, where even though Rappy Red Hood can be burst 1 or burst 3, she always counts as the burst 3 for the sake of like her being in a team. So she would not, I mean, she wouldn't interfere anyway because Anise is the burst 1 anyway, but just in case you were wondering about that. I'm not sure about regular Red Hood, but I don't know why you would use them on the same team anyway. But yeah, obviously it seems very strong. When later on today, when we pull her, I'll do some testing also, and later on when Nia comes out, test her with Neon too, and we'll go over Neon's kit in a moment here. But yeah, you probably use her in like just a bunch of teams, like just by yourself as the first one. With what's really good too is that you don't even have to use her with like a full electric team. You can just use her with like the Rappy Red Hood and maybe like another like a probably Neon would be the best bet, right? Or you want, because Very Red also has that explosions radius with the burst skill also on her thing. That's what people kill the circles with, and they don't know what happens. But yeah, like you can do that also, so you don't have to put all your um strong like Q2E killers in one basket for this team. So that's also a thing. And if you want to, if you have another first one and want to do something like Rouge, you can just do that and do with Cinderella, because I believe Cinderella also benefits from explosion radius. I think, not positive about that, but I think she does. So that's something else you can do also. So yeah, lot of good options with Anise. So hopefully, she will be a really, really good unit. I think hopefully she will be. So anyway, let's head on to Neon. Alright, so here's Neon. She will be coming out a week after the maintenance ends, but also a week after Anise. So we'll have a little bit to wait on her. Neon Vision Eye, or like I'm gonna say Neo Neon. Like I said, she's an attacker, burst 3, rocket launcher, electric code, skill 1, healthy body. Activates when attacked while non-healthy body status. Affects self. Invulnerable for 3 seconds. Okay, so right away, PvP like PvP PvP god. Okay, like just right there. Activates 5 times per battle. Um, so yeah, this screen. I mean, Joe probably really good in PvE, but yeah, like right away, it just screams PvP. Like viable already. Gains debuff immunity to, what is this? Infinity debuffs for I don't know what this double means. For 3 seconds, activates 5 times per battle. Healthy body, potency of HP restored up by 10.25% for 20 seconds. Activates when a full charge attacks. Affects enemy if the enemy is the single target. Explosion 5 power. Okay, so it is a single target. That's like not as good for PvP, unfortunately. Um, effects deals 437 438% of final attack. That's a lot of that. That's a big number. And it's additional damage. Additional effect of super firepower status deals 263% of final attack. So that's a lot. That's a lot of damage right there. Now, unfortunately, in PvP, there's more than one target. Unfortunately, so you won't get this big burst thing right there. So that's maybe for the better. I don't know. We'll have to see the rest of her kit before I make a judgment there. So skill 2, firepower charge. Activates at the start of battle. Affects self. Increase 5 power gauge charge by 100. Activates perform a normal attack while 5 power charge status. Affects self. Increase charge by 2. When the charge ends, affects self. Increase the charge by 45. Activates when full burst ends while 5 power gauge is active. So burst filling speed up by 5% of the gauge charge amount for 5 seconds. Oh. Oh, okay. Okay. So it's just the burst 3 that just fills the burst gauge by a lot, probably. Oh, okay. That's nuts. Okay. That's insane. So not like really really good, obviously, for PvE, because it just means your burst just goes faster. Also, when a different full burst, max of firepower, attack up by 80% for 10 seconds. 80% attack boost is like is monstrous. And then for super firepower, an additional 35%. Like, okay, these are staggering numbers for the holy wow. Okay, no wonder they have this restriction here on this skill right here for only one. Because if it wasn't, she would just like she, she would kill everything. In arena, like she would be like okay. I still think she's good in PvP, but obviously, let's go to her first skill. Activation 5 power gauge charge is lower than 100. Affects self. 5 power charge. The 5 power charge gauge for 10 seconds. This cannot be removed. Increase the 5 power charge by 1. Okay. Activates when 5 power charge gauge is at 100. Affects self. So, if it's not at 100, it will increase the charge gauge. However, when you go to the burst and it is at 100, you will get the super 5 power, so attack damage by 45% for 10 seconds. In addition, obviously, to all these other insane attack boosts that she's getting from having it also. So she'll deplete her 5 power charge gauge by 100, and then explosion radius up 200% for 10 seconds, and attack damage by 110% for the duration of the burst. Okay, so lots of damage coming out right here. That's all to say. This looks pretty insane. The thing that again stands out to me the most, that besides the damage, is this burst gauge filling speed up. That seems kind of nuts, honestly. Like anything that fills. Now, one of the things is that it is when full burst ends, which means that for PvP, it's not quite as good because with a character like this, it's probably not going to be that common that you, even with like these defenses here, it probably won't be like as common that you actually get to like a second burst window. I guess a lot of teams, maybe if you can make like a certain team setup, you can do this, but it's not really a strategy I see work like that often, where you can manage to actually pull off a second burst rotation overall. But yeah, just a lot of damage. Alright, so I haven't got it about Average Star. She's a free unit that we're gonna get for the anniversary. And one thing, so I read the skills already, and so she's also a re-enter burst 1. So he re-enters, what happens? I might have misspoke when I said with Anise, is that you use it and then you reset to stage 1. So you don't actually progress the burst stage when you use it. Which I don't really understand how this is gonna work with Anise. Can you not re-enter like twice? So in this case, it doesn't matter if you use it with Anise and Avatar at the same time, and you still get a full burst rotation. Is that how that works? I'll be honest with you, I don't actually know mechanically how that works, because it really hasn't been relevant. I'll be honest, in a lot of cases, re-enter burst 1s, if you're not like Tia, I guess, you're just not a real character in a lot of cases. So yeah, like if you guys know how this works, like I mean, I guess I'll test it out in like an hour or so. But just so you know, I have no idea what is going on here. But let's just look at her skills. So, active when full burst ends, affects your favorite pop star. After show, attack up by 80% of average star's attack. Okay, so that's pretty good. Remember though, because they're 2 burst 1s, Anise will not, at least I'm pretty sure this is how it works with these two characters, will not have the attack boost from her own buff, because again, she gives the more defensive and healing buffs when she has other burst 1s on the team. Okay, and then she gains some HP at the full burst ends. Avistar does. Why? Because her skill 2 cuts her HP by 20%. Why? I don't know. Has to be some like lore reasons why she hurts herself like this. Like maybe she needs some more head pats or something like that. So she will give a niece 40% projectile explosion damage and attack damage by 40%. Remember, it's just the explosion damage, so it's not the actual impact, it's the explosion. And remember, attack damage is not as good as attack, but it is still something. And the skill 3 is a re-enter stage 1, and affects self, max HP, up by 26.5% of her HP for the duration of the burst. Okay, so how good is this? Like, I don't know, maybe like Chime, like if you use Chime with Crown, maybe something like that. So not really, probably not viable in like any serious sense. But maybe something fun to do. I don't know for sure if I'll have enough resources to like give her stuff. Because it is an attack boost, it does mean you probably want to overload for this and like maybe give her like a SR5 doll or something like that, which is for maybe kind of a meme character like this a little bit too much of an investment, but we'll see. All right, so that's all for now. In just a little bit, I'll have a video with my polls and some testing for a niece as well, so get ready for that just a little bit down the road. If you found this video helpful or fun or anything like that, please give it a like. If you like me or just want to support me, give me a subscription also. Comment below which of the characters you are most excited about for this upcoming anniversary. Anyway, I love Neptune. Been a good one. Till next time.